setup forward, but we were on pole position in the rain, and then he spun off and we lost our fast lap, so it might have been better if we could have started up front, but Tristan's done a great job.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
He certainly is. Thank you, Michelle. And certainly Tristan is doing a great job. He's 27 years of age now, a little bit older than most of the other guys here, from Paris, France. And he's a lot of experience under his belt. His biggest success was winning the 2002 French Formula 3 Championship at the third attempt of Formula 3. But he also won the Macau Grand Prix that year. And there's some great names that have won that Macau Grand Prix in the past. And you have to have a lot of talent to win there on the very unforgiving streets.
A very tricky track there at Macau. I've actually been to watch that race just this past year during a break from my A1 duties. We were out that part of the world, figured why not go stop by for a motor race, and I was really, really impressed. Just the track there has been there for quite a while. It's a long established event, and it's kind of the headline race of the Formula 3 season. You have people coming from Formula 3 Japan, from the Euro Series, from the British F3 Series, and it's an extremely demanding circuit, and there's some fantastic driving and some great races that happen there in Macau.
It's a heck of a racetrack, isn't it? I mean, there's a really tight, twisted section over the top of the hill and through the town, and then a flat-out blast along the waterfront.
There's an extremely long front straight. The first three corners are all flat-out kinks, and so you get, it's probably 45 seconds of flat-out running, which certainly allows a lot of drafting and interesting maneuvers going on there. There's actually one tight section. There's one hairpin that's so tight, it's under permanent yellow flag. They won't even let you try to pass because you won't physically make it around the corner. But back to Portland, Sebastian Bourdais out front with 30 minutes left to go in this race.
8.5 seconds now the gap from this man, the McDonald's car of Newman Haas Lanigan Racing, driven of course by Sebastian Bourdais, out in the lead. 8.5 seconds over Justin Wilson, the pole sitter and early pace setter, but now it's all about Sebastian Bourdais. He has set the fastest lap of the race so far at 59.611. Only 4 drivers have lapped below the 1 minute marks. The other are Simon Pagenaud for Team Australia Walker Racing, is on a 59.7, and then both Graham Rahal in the second Newman Haas Lanigan car and Will Power in the second Team Australia car, also in the sub 1 minute category. So that's pretty interesting. Just 2 teams with each of its drivers getting below 1 minute.
They certainly seem to have a handle on things, and we saw in the morning warm-up that Team Australia had really picked up the pace and had found a happy place for their race car. So it's not surprising to see those 2 guys running quickly. And Will Power's running in 3rd right now. He started 7th. That was his worst qualifying position yet of the year. And if he pulls off a podium, that's pretty good damage control. It's good points, and it's not letting Sebastian get too far ahead.
And Tony Cotman, the race director we're here, did send out a warning to Dan Clark's crew. He said if it happens again, there will be a penalty. So he's given them a free pass on that one. A bit generous by TC there, but another interesting snippet at the moment. Will Power, the Team Australia, thinks he may have lost his radio communication. The team asked him to raise his hand as he went past the pits last time around if he could hear them. He didn't raise his hand, so the team is presuming that he cannot. So that's going to make things interesting. The drivers, they get very used to having the radio communications, James, and when you don't have it all of a sudden, it's not very easy.
It does make it very difficult. You do rely quite a bit on your radio, your engineer, and potentially your team manager up on the other end there on pit wall, and it's most important for things like when to pit. Obviously, you get other information from the pit wall while you're out there, but the most crucial stuff is making sure that your timing is coordinated between the guy in the car and the guys on pit wall. So what the teams have now are guys on pit wall with pit boards. You'll see them off to the left of your screen, maybe a bit of a too quick of a pan there.
A bit quickly there.
Yeah, but they've got information that they put out each lap, usually gaps, position, and time remaining in the race. And then when it comes to it, they can put a giant PIT on that board and try and get the message across to their driver. But I mean, if you miss it by 1 lap, if he's not paying attention to the board, which you don't always if you're relying on your radio, you could run out of fuel, and that could be the end of the day.
That's exactly right. I was talking to one of your colleagues in the Atlantic Championship, J.R. Hildebrand, yesterday. He was saying halfway through his race yesterday in the wet, your race yesterday in the wet, his radio communication, all of a sudden he just got a massive static through the thing, just this incredible noise through his helmet, so he couldn't turn it off. He had to pull the radio plug out. In your sort of races, there are only 45-minute races, no pit stops, no big deal probably, but unless, of course, you have full course cautions, when you like to know, first of all, when they're going caution, a little bit of advance notice, and particularly when you're going back to green.
Very important, and especially as yesterday in our race, we had a double header here this weekend. the race on Saturday was pouring with rain, very, very treacherous conditions, and as a result, it's hard to see flag stands because there was so much mist and fog, and so you might not know when a full course caution has come out. So tough for him. Actually, my teammate Rafael Matos suffered a similar problem on lap 2. His radio just kicked out altogether. So not the most perfected technology on a race car, let's say. It always baffles me how we can send a man to the moon, but we can't get a radio to always be consistent on a racetrack. But that's just a driver being whiny and picky.
Just while we're talking about you, there is Sebastian Bourdais still well out in front and increasing his lead again, and he's now pulling away by almost a second a lap over Justin Wilson. The gap now 11 seconds between first and second. But James, back to you this weekend. 2 pole positions and 2 second place finishes. Nice job.
It wasn't bad. Obviously, to grab both poles was good. It's actually the first time an Atlantic driver's had more than 1 pole here at Portland. So then it rained for the first race, and for us, our first laps of rain driving were under green flag conditions under racing. So we see Alex Tagliani there.
His final pit stop of the day. Yes, I think that will be lap 76 for Alex Tagliani. I think we'll be anticipating maybe 20 odd laps to go. Well, 26 minutes to go in the race. So probably 25 more laps, I would think, maybe 26 if they really get their heads down. And there is Tagliani locking up those brand new tyres as he goes down into the festival curves. Not the best initiation for a brand new set of tyres.
Absolutely not. We've seen that a lot this race. It's kind of surprising.
It is pretty cool out there, isn't it? We talked about it before. It's not easy to get those tyres up to temperature, particularly when you've only driven them for about 300 yards.
And another crucial point is the fact that because it rained all day yesterday, all the rubber's been washed off the track. The track's very green, especially offline. And when you pull out of the pit lane, you're not on the traditional racing line. You're off to the inside there. So there's certainly a little bit less grip than there has been the rest of the weekend. So, but we're on board with Justin Wilson. He's playing around with something. Looks like that might be his radio button. Might be conversing with his crew as he heads through the chicane at the end of the back straight there, now into the final corner, coming up on some lap traffic.
Yeah, he's been losing a second a lap the last 4 or 5 laps to Sebastian Bourdais, has Justin Wilson. And coming down, there's the blue flags being waved there to Jan Halen. Jan Halen driving for the Conquest Racing Team. Jan Halen's done a fantastic job this weekend. In 9th place he is. That's a remarkable effort. He's, of course, taken over from Matt Halliday, the very talented New Zealand driver who had absolutely no luck whatsoever in the first 3 races of the season. But Halen's doing a nice job. There's a pit stop there for Neil Jani. He was running in about 12th or 13th place as he comes onto pit lane. Not been the afternoon that he wanted. There's clouds there behind, you can see, gathering over to the east of the track, but the prevailing weather conditions generally come from the west. And if I look that way out to the right-hand side of our booth, it looks reasonably clear. There goes Johnny down into turn 1. And we look back down to the pit lane. Here comes our race leader. Both of the Newman Haas Lanigan cars onto pit lane at the same time. There's Graham Rahal expelling one of his tear-off strips. And here right behind him, the McDonald's car of Sebastian Bourdais.
Pulling on the light.
We'll see if they will hold Rahal. Not sure about the timing bringing both in together, but they were looking, they hold Sebastian. They were looking to have at least an 8-second gap on Wilson before they came into the pits. They came into the pits with over 13 seconds, so mission accomplished for everybody here at Newman Haas Lanigan.
Yes, but this is going to be interesting now because Sebastian Bourdais is on cold tyres and these guys behind him are all on hot tyres. If they can get past, then Sebastian Bourdais might be held up. This is going to be pretty interesting. That is Ryan de Yal there, who's unable to get close enough to make a pass, and now Sebastian Bourdais is going to be slipping and sliding around here, and he's under intense pressure from cars that at this stage in the proceedings, having on the fresh tyres, are going to be going a good bit quicker.
That would absolutely annoy Sebastian to no end if maybe down this back straight, coming out of turn 7, Ryan Dial in the Pacific Coast Motorsports car is able to get a good run on him. I don't think that is likely. His best chance was there into 4, and he couldn't quite get it done. And frankly, that would be better. Just try and not interfere with the race. And Justin Wilson getting the call to pit this lap. He will be in. Now, we definitely saw that with a 13-second gap before the pit stop. They've done enough, despite the fact Justin's been able to run 2 laps longer, for Sebastian to retain the lead. So Sebastian Bourdais looks like he will come out comfortably in front after this pit stop.
And Bourdais has actually had a very good outlap as we're watching Bruno Junqueira there in 12th place at the moment. Whoa, yikes, he almost lost it coming out of the pit lane, did Bruno Junqueira. Just managed to hang on to that Sonny's barbecue car, and away he goes down the pit lane. Also making a pit stop there was it Jan Halen? I didn't actually quite see who that was, but boy, that was a sideways moment for Bruno.
It happens.
Yikes.
Here is that's Oriol Servia just managing to get around Bruno, and this is Tristan Gomedy also able to get by him, so they will not be held up by a car on cold tires.
That is a battle for position between Servia and Junqueira, but not with Tristan Gomedy, who has yet to make his final pit stop of the day, and Gomedy is a lap ahead of those other two. We're expecting Justin Wilson onto pit lane this time. We heard the call from his pit radio,
and he needs a good pit stop, Rick. And I just spoke to Phil Howard. He says tires, fuel, that's all. Nothing fancy, no changes, and away he goes.
There goes the final stop then for Justin Wilson, but Sebastian Bourdais is already long gone in the lead, and there's a whole bunch of lapped cars between them as well. I don't think it's really particularly relevant at this stage, because Bourdais has got things well in hand. He had an excellent outlap as well. Not only was he able to pull clear of Ryan Dial, but all his other cars as well. Cameron Steele.
Everything the car is giving him. Got the wheels spinning while airborne and trying to get away quick. Seemingly the crew not exactly happy with that stop.
Oh, really? I don't know why they wouldn't be happy. Certainly it's a lot better than the last stop, because he almost looked like if the clutch was slipping it would appear in the second stop of the day for Will Power. Here's the second of the Team Australia cars. This is Simon Pagenaud pitting from 7th place.
But one thing the cameras didn't actually pick up right on that last lap before Will Power pitted, he was passed by Robert Dornbos for 3rd position. So I guess Robert still now has to come in for his stop, but he was able, just a few corners before Will peeled into the pits to get by. So both that in-lap for Will Power, the out-lap for Will Power, and now this series of laps for Robert Dornbos is going to be crucial on who's going to retain that 3rd position when everything settles down.
That is the battle of the race, certainly between those two for 3rd and 4th places. Justin Wilson is pretty much secure in 2nd place once the stops are completed. Sebastian Bourdais pretty much long gone. The gap has been reduced quite substantially. It's only 6.5 seconds now, but Justin is still trying to get his tyres up to temperature, so he'll lose a little bit more next time around. Robert Dornbos has just made his final pit stop. Unfortunately, we didn't see it. He's rejoined just ahead of Will Power. I watched the cars out of the corner of our booth here going down into the festival curves as we watched Sebastian Bourdais coming through the other end of the racetrack, and Dornbos did get out of the pits ahead of Will Power, but he's on cold tyres, and Will Power has got already a lap or two under his belt.
So hopefully we can maybe cut to them and see what has happened in that battle. If not, we'll get them when they come across the timing stripe. You can see in the distance there, this man's teammate Graham Rahal is running in 9th place, just 1 lap down. Sebastian now has a gap of 14.5 seconds over Justin Wilson. So Justin obviously still struggling to get some heat in those tires. He is slowly getting those lap times down, but it looks as though Dornbos maybe has retained that position over Will Power. They should be crossing the line soon now, so we can confirm that.
Yeah, they're coming down the start-finish straight right now, and there's about 3 or 4 car lengths in between them. Dornbos, as you said, is ahead, but only just as they come down to turn 1. And there is Sebastian Bourdais. He's got about a 15-second lead now, with just 18 minutes to go in the Champ Car Grand Prix of Portland. So inside the final 20 minutes of this race is all about Sebastian Bourdais. Now the first stages of the race, all about Justin Wilson. But now, as per usual, it's the McDonald's car of Newman Haas Lanigan Racing, and looking for the team's 100th victory. An amazing record this team has had over the last quarter century of Champ Car Racing. Started the partnership between Paul Newman and Carl Haas started in 1983. But Sebastian Bourdais has won 25 races for this team over the last, 5 years of racing in the Champ Car World Series. Now looking to make it numbers 26 and also the team's 100th. Just remarkable statistics that Sebastian Bourdais has been chalking up over these years. And let's have a look maybe at the graphic of the winners for Newman Haas Lanigan Racing over the years. And you can see some of the most illustrious names in the sport. There's Michael Andretti. He's still won the most for this team, 31 victories. Sebastian Bourdais, though, closing quickly with 25. And what's even more remarkable is he's won those 25 races inside just 62 starts. Quite remarkable. Mario Andretti, he was the standard bearer initially for that team. 18 victories to his name. Cristiano D'Amata, he won the championship for this team in 2002. Nigel Mansell won the championship in 1990. 3, 1 year after winning the Formula 1 World Championship. And Bruno Junqueira has had 5 wins over the last few seasons. Paul Tracy won a couple of races in 1995 when he drove for Newman Haas Racing. Christian Fittipaldi and Oriol Servia, 2 and 1 wins apiece. So that is a remarkable record that this team has put together.